Let's Talk Money.
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Money, your weekly personal finance date with me, Surabhi Upadhyay. What do women want? Well, traditional answers can range from diamonds to flowers, but what the savvy women of today's fast-changing world perhaps actually really want and need is more control of their life. And financial independence and well-being is a large part of that. Welcome to the Women's Day special edition of the show. Today, it is all about what the ladies want to know when it comes to matters of money and personal finance. Joining me to answer these questions are two very, very special guests. I have with me Ms. Jyotsna Singh, Business Head, Kotak Private Banking, and Swarup Mohanty, Vice Chairman and CEO of Mirae Asset Investment Managers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in. It's great to have you in the studios who've taken out time from your busy schedules. Really appreciate it, because I think it is still very much the need of the hour to cajole women, to kind of, prod women into taking more control of their finances. Would you agree, Jyotsna?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me here today on this very special edition on Women's Day. And that too with my old-standing friend Swarup makes it even more special.
This is wonderful. I didn't know that you guys go back a long way, almost 20 years. But Swarup, very important to have a male voice on the table as well. And therefore, glad you're here.
And I'm very thankful that male voice happens to be me. And doing that with you and Jyotsna, we go back almost 2 decades now. A lot of what I am, because on my learning about women and how to treat women in corporate life, is because what she taught me. So thank you for doing this for me. It's a special one.
We have quite a few questions that have come in, and we have questions from some of the young girls who have just started out, also some middle-aged sort of professional working ladies. But before we get started, I want to sort of set the context and get your perspective, because both of you come from the financial services landscape. You're sort of out there dealing with a lot of women customers in your respective sort of day jobs. So what is it that you're seeing? Is there a propensity to take greater control? And what is the first message that you'd really want to start with to all the women who are listening to us right now? Jyotsna.
So, great point that you made. Yes, there is a change that we're seeing. I'd say more in certain pockets than the others, but certainly a change. But guess what? Progress is progress. And as they say, boon boon se sagar banta hai. But the important thing is that I would say the important messaging that I would want to sort of leave here is that women should take charge across all facets of wealth. What do I mean by that? The first one being wealth creation itself. So more and more women must get into the workforce, whether they're an inheritor, whether they're a first-generation entrepreneur or a professional, but they must be a part of the workforce. And we understand that circumstances sometimes can be challenging, but whether it's part-time or full-time, be a part of the workforce. And then, of course, there is sort of wealth growth as well as preservation. And the growth part is, of course, pertains to all the investments and all the money matters, etc., which they must be a part of.
Swarup, come in on this, and I think your industry has had its huge contribution, because now it's become easier, that much easier. You might not know how to do direct shares yourself or complex instruments, but I think the mutual funds Sahi Hai campaign that started a couple of years back, I think that's helped. But your thoughts on what you're seeing across a lot of your women client base as well?
Surabhi, I've never yet understood the contradiction. I mean, we all know that when we grow up, the budget in the house is handled by the mom. And imagine if the budget were handled by the father of the house, it would be a mess, it would be a deficit. But the same mom, when it comes to investing, gives it to the wrong person, right? A person who invariably is more spendthrift than careful, and all the virtues of managing money, which is entrusted upon her when it comes to home budgets, really takes a backseat when it comes to the financial budget, right? And that I've never understood, but in my working life of almost 30 years now, that seemed to be changing. Where, like Jyotsna said, I think the women now want control and should take control, because globally it's a known fact that women fund managers are superior to men fund managers. They can manage money, they know how to manage money, but it's high time they did that. When I started in Mirae Asset, 6 years ago, our diversity ratio was 6%. Today, we are sitting at 39%. We are seeing that workforce growing, and I think the financial services does see a large amount of women. Yeah. I've seen so much of Jyotsna and other colleagues growing in their lives and taking control of money. But sooner the women start taking control of money, it's better for the entire family.
So I want to quickly get to our first set of questions that we've got. And some of these are viewers who are actually joining us on video, so it'll be great to see them as well. The first one is Anjali Pathak, and I think she lives in Bangalore. So let's go ahead and meet Anjali. Anjali, hi, great to have you on the show. Tell us about yourself and what is your question?
What would be the basic start for an individual, especially a woman, if they are into their mid 20s? Like, if I talk about myself, people who are in their 25, 26 years of age, so what will be the basic start for them to start investing from this very early stage in their life?
Okay, great, Anjali, that you're already thinking of starting in your mid-20s. Let me ask you, do you have any specific goals right now in mind? I don't know whether it's a holiday or a car or anything else, or it's just a general concept, conceptual move towards savings and investing that you're looking at?
Not any specific objective or something, but basically like any kind of investment from which a woman can start if they are, if they are willing to start from a very early, career or in a very early stage in their lives, because people have this tendency of investing at a, time after their 35 or 40 years of age. But I don't think so that, people should start after that time. So maybe early investments are, a great start for anyone, especially a woman.
Sure. Compliments to you, really. I think she's talking about me, right? Because the first 10 years are just about working and creating that wealth and focusing on your career, never about what you're doing with that money. Yeah. But, before we answer, Anjali, there's one more caller with us, Jhalak, same age bracket. So let's just see what she has to tell us as well, and then we'll get to the answers. Jhalak, welcome to the show. Tell us, I believe you're a baker. How can we help you?
As per today, looking at today's scenario and how the conditions are there in our country and everything, according to you, which is the best plan for investment?
Okay, there you go. I mean, they are absolutely on the ball.
Yeah.
Just amazing. And now we need to give them, bite-sized advice so that they can get on the wealth creation track. Swarup, you want to take it away first?
I think the first thing is, both of them need to ask that very simple question, and that's not different for men or women. The principles of investment remain the same. The first question they should ask, and I think the First Lady sort of alluded that by saying that she just wants wealth creation. I don't think that is correct. The first thing they should ask is why. And you sort of asked her that, do you have anything in mind? Because everybody's life is different. Your why, how you want to invest is very different from Jyotsna and very different to mine. So once you get that why in place, then the where can be, easily answered. So because everybody's life goals are different and everybody's life aims are different and everybody is right. Is once you answer that question and define your life, you might go wrong and the further reviews and rebalances can change that life. But till you do not ascertain why you want to invest, the rest actually are meaningless. That's the most important question they need to ask. And then we all can come in and give in our answers. But their whys are very different and their whys have to be answered first.
Very interesting that you brought this up, because I was speaking to a planner, and that's where there's a debate within the financial planning world as well, right? Traditional financial planning advice where you would invest as per short-term, medium-term and long-term goals. Versus this planner told me that, hey, Surabhi, things are moving so fast that at times goals change. You set a goal within like a year, you might be looking at something else.
Totally.
So then what is the approach that young girls, can take, like the ones we just heard from?
So first, compliments to both Jhalak and Anjali,
Yeah.
because the fact that you all are even thinking of investments and savings in your mid-20s, I'd say that's, you're on a winning wicket to start off with, right? Because one of the principles that doesn't change as far as investing goes, whether it's a man or a woman, is the fact that start early and just sit back and enjoy the power of compounding. And, if you start off in your 20s with however small an amount it is, you're in a great space. Swarup's already sort of tried to address the why, but I think a little differently, and I'm saying if you still don't have complete clarity as to what this pot is being created for, but you know that you'd like to invest and start the good habit of saving and investing, just get on that journey. But a couple of things that you must have clarity on. One is this money, do you think you're going to need it or not? So I'm not really saying long-term, short-term, mid-term, but I'm saying if you need it in the very foreseeable future, then where you kind of put it should be a little different.
Absolutely.
But stepping back, I'd say, if you know your goals, great. If they're generic in nature at this stage, doesn't matter. what you should definitely know is some sort of a risk appetite that you have.
Oh, yes.
Be true to yourself. It's not about being true to anybody else, but just be true to yourself and know what your risk appetite is, because that will help you decide where to put this money. And of course, time horizons, etc., also matter. And I think once that is done, there's no harm in sort of reaching out for financial help.
Sure.
There are lots of people there. Go to like a trusted partner, I would say, whoever you think that you want to use. There are very discretionary platforms that are now catching everybody's eye and attention in the marketplace, etc. Use that. Mutual funds, all of that is available in terms of the pool.
Yeah.
But start young, whatever you can put aside, just put aside and just see that grow.
I think that's a great sort of starting point. First of all, knowing for how long can you invest. I think that I completely take that point on board, because till you don't know that, you don't know what kind of instruments you can perhaps consider, and also the risk appetite, as Jyotsna mentioned. So keep those two things in mind, and then you can start your investment journey. We'll talk more about the specifics of this investment journey as we go forward, but we also have one more viewer with us. I believe Neha Jain is now on the line. Hi Neha, great to have you on the show. Tell us about yourself and of course your query.
Let's say I'm 25 years of age right now, and I want to buy a house when I turn 40. So how should I go about the planning of my finances and investment currently, so that I'm able to collect the capital to buy a house when I turn 40?
Okay, it's fantastic to hear that focus. But Neha, let me ask you, when you're talking about buying this house at 40, are you talking about having real estate as an investment in your portfolio at that point in time, or is this for staying in yourself?
I do not have any house right now, and I need to buy to basically stay. Yeah.
Okay, great focus, right?
So
Absolute laser sharp about what you want to do by when. There you go. You were asking for goals. We have goals.
No, so let me take that one. So Neha, great that you're thinking of roti kapda or makan. The makan part of it, I think one roof over your head is a great thing to be planning for sure. I'd say home loans are a little, or housing is a slightly, should be viewed slightly differently, and home loans can play a huge role in that. So depending on the need that you have, which is what Surabhi asked you, and I think it was a very pertinent question that she was asking, if you can wait till 40, great, but you need not wait till 40 is the point that we're trying to make. It may not be your dream house that you can afford today, but you may still want to buy a house today, tomorrow, or anywhere between this journey of 25 to 40 with the sort of help of home loans, which of course bring in tax breaks, etc., etc. So definitely worth considering. Usually people will buy homes with some amount of capital themselves, some amount coming in through a home loan. And of course, there is always this thought going on that instead of staying in a rented home and paying a rent, I'd rather pay an EMI by taking a home loan. So it's a great way to start. You don't necessarily have to wait to be able to afford your dream home. You may not live in this particular house at this point in time, but buy what you can afford when you're comfortable, and then always feel to upgrade.
Sure. Come in on this, because the concept is very interesting, that if you don't know the kind of house and where, then what do? You invest that in long-term assets and then buy your dream house?
Surabhi, there are two sides to every story. If I ask my 25-year-old son, he doesn't want to buy a house.
Yes.
But one is to learn the mathematics and understand the mathematics and take a call. Please understand, if you are in Mumbai or anywhere in the country, your rental yield is just 2 to 3%. Your home loan at this moment is 9.5%.
Yeah.
At this moment, if you are 25 and you're going to invest money to buy a house, please understand at 40 you're going to get out of those instruments and get out of something which Jyotsna said, a power of compounding. You're going to get out of that money when the money is getting substantial. Should that be the right approach or not is something which you should ask yourself very clearly. Do you need the house? You want a place to stay. Yeah. All of us aspire. That is my generation.
Yeah.
But if you put the math, the math will say don't buy the house.
And put that money in long-term instruments
create
like
your
equity,
retirement goal and stay in that house at 2% the cost of that house.
Speaking like a true Gen Z now.
Yeah, I'm going by my son.
But I think women do think a little differently here. And that's why I started off by saying I'm glad that you're thinking about a roof over your head. I think EQ-wise, emotional quotient, women are pretty high on. And that first home is important to you.
No, absolutely.
But it's a pertinent point in terms of, which is why I'm not necessarily a big fan of second and third homes, because then dividend yields. It's not a great investment avenue.
Finally, it's the person's call, but person should be aware of the maths, and then you take a call.
I'll tell you what, going through the journey myself, and by the way, not yet a homeowner, and now I feel better after listening to these queries and listening to Swarup, because, through your 20s, 30s, you don't know where life and work is taking you anyway. So now it's better, invest that in assets, and when you're about to sort of settle, then you buy the big house.
If you're upset about not owning a great house, out of a little money out of that investment, go and spend that money in a good 5-star hotel. It'll still be cheaper.
There you go. You have a fierce debate over here, but basically do that homework. Really ask yourself the hard emotional questions and then decide what you want to do with that house. Quick break. On that note, we are nicely warmed up and charged up. More questions answered on this Women's Day special in just a minute after the break.
Let's talk money